Hello, welcome to scr1tno Knitting Project Podcast. My name is Sharon and I'm coming to you from Surrey in the UK, where I live with my family, 3 cats and a dog. Today is Thursday the 17th of September 2020 and this is episode 72. Welcome if you are a new viewer, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my podcast all about my crafting, mainly knitting. I have a little bit of embroidery today and I have a little bit of crochet as well. I may also have a finished object. If you're a returning viewer, you may have noticed. So I'm going to go into my first section, which is admin. We have got 2 knit-alongs going on at the moment. We've got the square a day cowl, which is where we are doing a square on a cozy memory blanket, or we are doing a stripe on a granny stripe blanket, or anything else you can do on a daily basis really. We have a check-in at the end of this month, which is September, and it's for 274 squares, stripes, whichever you're doing. Well done to everybody who's catching up. I've had a few messages of people who've caught up, but a special mention to Helen, who only joined us in March and is managed to catch up so that she can do a check-in for September. So well done on that. That's brilliant. The hashtags, if you can't use Ravelry, are on the bottom of in the drop down, which I should say show notes are underneath the video. If you can't access the show notes underneath the video and you can't do Ravelry, not that they're on Ravelry at the moment, I used to post them on Ravelry. If you can't do access down there, drop me an email on scr1tno@outlook.com and I will email you the show notes, a copy of the show notes. That's really easy because they're all on a document anyway. So I just have to quickly email you a copy of the document. Yeah, it occurs to me I may not have amended last week's show notes. Oops. I may have to go back and do that this week. So there's theoretically there's show notes. Oh dear. And I normally do a little bit of a chat back section to my comments. I'm just going to run through them. Kim, hello. I've got Vlogtober, would be great. So I'm thinking very hard about doing Vlogtober. I'm going to at least try. What is the sweater you are wearing? This is to last week's. That was the Whitmore, which is a sweater by Amy Loudon, little tailoress. Brindy, bless you, you had to wait till yesterday to watch it. Oh, that's good, you're up to date with your square a date, fantastic. Jean has just got her August Bird Club, which is good because that's in the States. Ali, I commented back to you. Yeah, sorry about that. I said last week about the fact that this year that won't end had an extra day, and that was the day Ali got married. So congratulations to Ali for getting married this year. And then Helen I'd already mentioned. So yeah, obviously there's a definite elephant in the room this week, isn't there? I'm enjoying looking at it. We'll chat about it in a bit. I think that is it for admin at the moment. I said last week I was going to try and look out the prizes. I have not had chance. I've had a busy week, so I've had it on my to-do list all week, so I'll try and do that for next week so that you see them before I draw the prizes, which will be about the 1st or 2nd of October. I normally leave the thread open for a couple of days because obviously you can make it right up to the 30th of September. And then it takes just a couple of days to post it. And also I feel that if you're that close that you can kind of squeeze it in by the end of the month, by the 1st and 2nd, you should be allowed to enter. So I shall close it around about the 1st or the 2nd. Right, let's get into the main part of the podcast. Right, so day 1 is socks, and I have 2 sock whips at the moment. One I will explain, and this one you've seen before. These are the Honeybee Dance socks. Now the Honeybee Dance socks are a pattern by Curious Handmade and are from the first knit event, and are a cabled patterned sock. And I have finished the first sock. So I was where those little shoes are, my Dorothy shoes from West Green Loft Yarns, and I finished this now. I don't know what I was thinking last night. I meant to do a contrast toe and I forgot. There's no way on earth I am ripping that out. So this has not got a contrast toe. these pairs are not going to have contrast toes. But I did a little, so I modified the pattern to make it into shorties and did a little picot cuff. I think with these shorty collections that I'm doing, I might just see what different cuffs I can do. But yeah, so that's a little picot cuff. And it's a really pretty pattern, cable pattern. Now, it's probably not the best yarn to show the pattern off, but actually in real life you can see it, and when it's on my foot it shows off quite well. The yarn is a Homespun house in her, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Let's have a look on my little card. It's on my little card. Perennial Blossoms, that's it. So that's a Homespun house. It actually says it, Perennial Blooms, on the front of the card. So these little cards are from Clara Peggotty, whose shop is Handmade by Clara. Oh, I'm not sure. It's linked down below. And she does these little cards in her shop. You can either buy the cards themselves or you can buy a download and print them off. And I'm putting a card in each of my project bags. She also has the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. And I am currently, so that's the main yarn, which is not attached, as you can see. So I am currently on the picot cuff. Now, if I can show you, I have done the first side of the picot cuff, and I had to go to sleep last night before I could get the second side done, and I thought, actually, I'm not going to force myself to do it and make mistakes. Now, by doing that, I can show you what I've meant about the little stitch markers I put in. So now, because I do mine on 2 circulars, I have split them into 2 sets of mine. These are 30 stitches, so 2 sets of 30. And that occurs to me, that's wrong. It's supposed to be, oh, it's supposed to be 64. I'm going to have to increase when I'm doing the heel flap. I'm going to have to increase some stitches. I will do that. Oops. Anyway, I digress. So can you see on here, I have a little bulb stitch marker holding that end there. That is my first stitch of that round. So I know that that stitch there needs to be attached to, oh, where are you? Come here. That needs to be attached to that stitch there, or that first stitch on the needle. So that means that I don't twist it, because I have twisted a picot and it's really, really annoying when you do that. But this way it stays all nice and flat and not twisted. So I would recommend, if you're going to do a picot like that and you're going to stitch the 2 ends together, or not stitch, but, or I suppose even if you're going to stitch them, but if you're going to knit the 2 ends together, you mark your stitches. I mark the first one and the last one, and then you're able to pick up from that point, and you shouldn't anyway twist it. So that's my cuff, and that's as far as I got on my second sock yesterday. Yesterday was sock day. And that's the contrast. As I said, I was supposed to do the toe in that colour, I forgot, so yeah, oops. Oh, where my head was when I was doing that yesterday afternoon, why I just went straight into the toe, but there we go. So that's that one. That's living in my autumn cherry iris bag. And then the other day that was sock day last week was last Thursday, and I had finished my stripy socks, if you remember, and I decided I wanted to cast on one of my bird clubs, because I don't tend to cast them on very quickly. So this is last month. So this is the August bird club, so if you've not seen that, look away, which is this one. And I have literally just started a twisted cuff on it. And that's the mini that came with it. Now I'm going to do these plain, because I think the yarn's going to speak for itself, it being Sherry's beautiful yarn. and I'm going to make full-size socks with these ones. I have absolutely no idea why I randomly decided that's what I was going to do and not do another striped pair. It obviously seemed like a good idea at the time. I still need to wind that up, so that's another job I need to do. And this is hanging out in another Sherry Iris project bag. But yeah, that was a bit of a random cast on. Everybody else have random cast on, so they're just like, oh, I know what I'm going to cast on. No idea why. So that's day 1 socks. So day 2 is at the moment my secret knitting day, and that's the day where I'm knitting presents for people for Christmas, so I cannot show them on the podcast. I'll show them in the new year when everybody's received everything. And that moves me into day 3, which is garment day. And yes, I have finished my Ingrid. I am so pleased with this. I love it. Theoretically, there should be some video of me in the garden wearing it. If there's not, it's because it didn't come out. My daughter recorded it for me. So the Ingrid is a DK sweater, colourwork yoke sweater. It's knit top down and it's by Isabelle Kramer. You do short row shaping at the back so that you've got a higher back than front. And it's got the pattern around the bottom as well. I haven't got very much room in here to show you, but I will try to show you. No, you're not going to see the bottom. Hopefully that video will have sorted itself out. So I loved making this. The colour work is beautiful. I knit this in a Sidar, which is a commercial yarn. It's a Sidar Sublime Merino Silk Cashmere. And despite the silk content, it bloomed when I blocked it. And yeah, I'm really happy with how the colour work looks. Now in the pattern, Isabelle does one extra colour in the yoke, and the bit that you can see that's the same colour as the jumper should be a different colour, but I didn't have that many colours in my stash. This is all knit from stash, and I wanted to not have to buy one. So because that colour isn't next to the main colour, the main body, I figured I could get away with this stripe in the middle of the main colour. Plus the fact I really like the main colour, so that helped. I've done full length sleeves. I have learnt now to not follow the pattern for sleeves, but follow a standard sleeve pattern for myself. That way I get the width I need, because I have got bow wings, and the length, which I've got quite short arms, so I don't want them too long. And obviously this grows because it is a superwash. It took me nearly a year, but that was because I had a huge break over from March onwards, because I was knitting this when the pandemic hit, and I really didn't want to knit on anything that I was originally knitting on when things were normal. So I stopped knitting on it, and I only had like half of one sleeve and the other sleeve to do. So the time that it's taken me to knit this, I have knit 2 other jumpers too. But I would really recommend the pattern. Isabelle's brilliant. Her patterns are lovely. She's not as size inclusive as perhaps she could be, but having said that, she's getting better. A lot of her older patterns, like this one, the Ingrid, which is quite an old pattern, she's doing updates for, so you get a lot more sizes. I knit the extra large, which wasn't the largest. There was at least 1 or 2 more than that, but I think now there's sort of a couple more. I think this is now the large size, something like that. I think in the update it kind of moved sizes. I've knit mine really long. When I started this jumper, I was knitting much longer jumpers, which I would wear over jeans. I have since started wearing dresses over leggings as a standard daily wear as opposed to jeans. So I actually wish I had knit this a lot shorter. And my brain is thinking I may actually have enough left over to knit another one, but make it like really cropped. So I might do that as well. It's certainly going to keep me warm in the winter. It is beautiful and warm. It is way too warm for today because we're having a mini heat wave here in the southeast at the moment, and we've had temperatures ranging from sort of 20 to 28, which has been super. Today's only supposed to be a 20 day, so hopefully it'll be a much nicer day. But it's certainly too hot to wear DK sweaters. Anything else? There's much else I can say about it. It's easy to follow, the chart's lovely. I swatched my colour work to make sure I was happy with how the colours played together. I swatched, I got gauge, which for me is really unusual, but I seem to be getting gauge a lot more now than I used to. I used to be a really loose knitter, so I've obviously tightened up a little bit. But yes, I did my own sleeves, so I can't comment too much on the sleeves, but I did the sleeves that work for me. If I'm doing full length sleeves, I tend to try and adapt it into these sleeves. Oh yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Right, so that was day 3, garment day. Day 4 is crochet day, and it's hanging out in my Craft House Magic bag. And I am still working on my Christmas crochet blanket, and this is the next sort of half a strip really. This is a set from West Green Loft Yarns, which was part of her Christmas in July, and I am doing a 5x5 one, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 2 more to put on this, which would be 9 and 10. And then of these 2 colours, and then I'll have 2 other colours. It kind of looks more spring than Christmas, but when you put it with the other colours, it does definitely look Christmassy. Yeah, and I'm really enjoying it. I had a good day for crocheting on Sunday. As you can see, I've learnt my lesson and joined these as I go. So I joined them. These are granny clusters, and there's 5 rounds of them, and I have joined them up the middle with a single crochet in my contrast, which is a silver yarn, which is called Silver Bells and is from Yantan Tethera. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out, and I'm really enjoying doing it actually. If I can find it. Oops. So for my choice for my next colour is that one, and either that one or that one. So that's the rest of the mini set. So I'm not sure which 2 I will do. I will lay it all out and see which goes best. And that is how the blanket's looking. And that's the reason why I've got to lay it out, because that blue might clash with that blue. Well, not clash, but it might go over the top of it. And I don't want that to happen. I'm thinking I'm also going to need to find a new bag for this, because that is now actually getting too big to go in the bag. It grew quick when I put the last stripe on. But yeah, so that's day 4 crochet day. So day 5 is Here Comes the Whip, which is when I work on a long outstanding whip, and at the moment it is my Habitation Throw by Sherry Iris, and that's living in my puffin bag by Busy Pottering. And I think I did quite a bit of this week. Where was I? Yeah, I was where the black cat is. Can we see the black cat? There we go. I was where the black cat is, and I did the whole of that mini, and I started going into a new mini. which is that one. And I'll have to admit that at one point this week this was all I wanted to knit on. So the only problem with the rotation is occasionally I knit on something and it's the only thing I want to knit, and that's what happened this week, and the only thing I wanted to knit was my habitations row. And I figured if I did that, it would be really, really boring for you guys if you're expecting to sit down and see, you know, a full rotation and all I've done is this. So I normally try and give you fair warning if I'm going off project, but yeah, it was very close this week. Happily I didn't. I did work on other things and I'm kind of back into it now, so it's, I've got over it until I knit on this again, no doubt, and then I'll be like, oh, I just want to knit that. So the habitation throw is a throw by Curious Handmade, and it is from last year's knit event, and I love it. This is my second one, and yeah, I really got stuck on that this week. Luckily it was a weekend day, so I've got lots of time to work on it. So that's day 5 when it comes to whip. So day 6 is Scrappy project day, and that's hanging out on my Jilly Makes bucket, and is the Northeasterly by Skenanigans, and possibly is another one that I would just knit on, given half a chance. So what I'm doing is stopping and knitting and sewing in my ends at some point, I think, but I'm holding each strip on a spare cable for the moment so that I can carry on and go upwards. So at the moment I'm making it as wide as I want it, and then I'll make it as long as I want it. And all the strips are different dyers, and at the moment I'm working on Giddy yarns. And this one here, these are all her Winnie the Pooh collection. So that's 1, 2, 3. I loved that one. 4, 5, and now I am working on I think it's Flower Fairies. Yeah, Flower Fairies. The Flower Fairies collection. And then I've got one of my nostalgia clubs to go in as well. Oh, I love it. So pretty. So we've got Sherry Iris, Hedgerow Yarns, Down Sheepy Lane, Craft House Magic, Lay Family Yarn, West Green Loft Yarn, yeah, West Green Loft Yarns, and then Giddy Yarns. So yeah, that gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. I love working on this. It's a really lovely project, and possibly another one I will stall on at some point and decide that I just want to knit on it. It gets very close some days. So I still want to add in elderflower stitches, Woody Goodness, and like a random one of different people. And then once I get to the random one of different people, I'm thinking that might be my middle one, and then I'll go back out and do sort of Woolly Goodness, elderflower stitches, Giddy yarns, and go that way. That's my thoughts. But so it's a long-term project, so you're going to see this for a while, I'm afraid. So that's the end of the rotation for this week. So my cozy memory blanket is hanging out in another bag by Busy Pottering. Sadly, Anne doesn't make bags anymore, but when she did, I made full use of her. And this is my cozy memory blanket. I've done really well. I've caught back up, so I'm absolutely back on track now. That is Nora George Mrs. Fig, which I got as a present from a swap. That is from my stripy socks last week. And then these are all Woolly Goodnesses blanket box for March. It was March. It's a really pretty pink. And then also I had two on one of the other sides of this, not that side. That's my first square. I always mark my first square so I know which way up my blanket goes. It's got to be on the end of this one, hasn't it? Here we go. And they're also two from March's Woolly Goodness blanket box. So I'm getting there, and yeah, it's getting really big, isn't it? They're huge. massive. I think I've got some squared off video this week as well. I think that was this week. Did I put that in last week's? I can't remember. I think it was this week's. And yes, I will definitely be running one again, the cowl again next year. I've enjoyed it so much. It's so much fun seeing you all growing your blankets too, and having something that's going to be a decent size by the end of it. Right, so that's my cosy memory blanket. So in other crafts this week we have the embroidery that I didn't show you last week, and I'm kind of glad I didn't now, because I failed miserably between last week's podcast and this to do any embroidery or any spinning, and I haven't got a journal section either this week, so I'm doing really well. So this is my embroidery at the moment. As you can see, I had to stop mid toadstool. I've done all of the reef now, and I'm doing all the toadstools. Now this is going to be a journal cover for my new journal, and my new journal starts on the 1st of October. Something tells me this is not going to be ready in time, but never mind. My other one didn't have a cover for about 2 months either, so they're 3-month journals. That is a needle holder. I don't know where it's from either. I used to know, I don't anymore. It was a shop on Etsy. I will try and look it up. But the kit is from the Stitchery, and is her autumn reef kit. It's great. You get all the threads, and you get all the instructions. So that's what it will look something like. And then on the back it's got all of the instructions as to what you do where. And yeah, now I've got this out, I really, really want to work on it. I'm also slightly mystified as to why I stopped mid-toadstool. There must have been a reason. Slightly odd though. Who knew? I don't know why we did that. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Absolutely love it. And I need to organise my time a bit better so I get some time to work on these things. But more about that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a bit. Right, so that was my embroidery. So next up is Happy Mail, and I've got a couple of bits that I got from the Southern Wool show not last weekend, the weekend before. So I shopped their virtual update, and I bought some yarn from Truly Hooked, which this is Riverbed. I really liked this. Get the feeling my palette's changing towards the autumn colours now. Isn't this pretty? Love this. And I got some minis as well. So this is Mad Love, Monsters Inc., Cafe de Mer, and Smell the Roses. I'm thinking that one's Monsters Inc. and that one's Smell the Roses, but yeah, other two, not too sure. But they're going to go into my blanket, into my northeasterly under other sections. And then also I got minis from Debonair, who is Erica, and it is debonairyarns.com. And I got 2 sets. This is the first set. These are super squidgy. They're really pretty, aren't they? So this is all from the Southern Wool show updates. There we go. Go with that. We'll go with that. And then this is the other set. Yes, I was having a blue phase. Shocker. So that was my Southern Wool purchases, and then the weekend just gone I took part in the Perth Festival of Yarn, and I was lucky enough to be on the Zooms, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and hello to any of my new viewers that may have come over from that. It was lovely to get to meet you at the weekend, and I had such a good time. And there was an official Perth Festival of Yarn, and I really liked it when I saw it. And it's by Die Candy. It's brilliant, isn't it? And I am going to make this into socks because, you know, my ambition is to try and make a pair of socks to wear to next year's Perth Festival of Yarn, because either way, if it's not so that we can go to a festival next year, then I will wear them on the Zoom lounges and sort of shopping, and if it is like we can go, then I will wear them in person. So these are going to be my Perth socks. I'm going to make them and then put them away, and I'm going to really hope that I can go to Perth next year if it's an actual in person. But isn't that lovely? Really like it. And finally, I have got my Scrappy Project Club from September 2020 from Woolly Goodness. So if you haven't got yours, please look away. So that's the little, these are 10 5-gram mini skeins. It says, were dyed using a photo of an autumnal view of the South Downs in West Sussex for inspiration. The October box will be available from woollygoodnessyarns.com on Friday the 18th of September. So look out for that if you would like this. So that's the photo. That's the little stitch marker that came with this. I love this. That's the details that Jenny uses. Sorry, Jenny, I'm hiding the sheep. I've forgotten his name again. Is it Larry? Is it Larry the sheep? I need a little post-it to put it on the wall so I remember. And then this is I cannot wait to start using these. This is so pretty. Look, aren't they lovely? Jenny, I hope you're enjoying dyeing these as much as I'm enjoying using them, because I think these are fab. My blanket thanks you. Right, you can look back now. Oh, so that's my happy mail for this week. I have got a few more Perth purchases coming, which hopefully will be with me by next week, so I can show you next week. And then that might be kind of the last, except for clubs and blanket boxes, until Christmas, because I need to save some money to spend on other people. Right, that's it. I'm into chatter. It's been a busy week. We are back to guiding, and we did a face-to-face meeting for guides, so they are aged 10 to 14. We have got a couple of young leaders, so it goes up a little bit beyond that. And we did a social distanced outside meeting, which we can do under the new regulations because girl guiding has an exemption. It's all to do with youth health, mental health. And it was lovely to see the girls. It was lovely to be back out. Everybody socially distanced, everybody had hand sanitizer, nobody was allowed in the building to go to the loo, so you had to pee before you came. And it all went off really, really well, and it was all very safe and all very lovely, and I think the girls really, really enjoyed it. Now, our rainbows and brownies, both of those meet in a school, and we are not doing that at the moment. We are not doing indoor meetings. I personally do not want to do indoor meetings at all, not until the infection rate starts dropping again, so I'm going to avoid doing that for the moment, and I am fully aware that that will then mean that our brownies are stuck with Zoom meetings for the time being, because there's only me and one other leader, so they're not going to be able to meet until we're happy doing it. That's if the school lets us meet at all, because we haven't heard from that yet, so that might be another problem. But it has eaten into my craft time. So I need to work out yet another new normal. That's that lovely catchphrase at the moment, of working back in how it's going to be with guiding. And I've got into the routine of working out in the mornings and then doing my cozy memory blanket square. So I've kind of got that back in. I've slotted that into a little slot, which I've got just between sort of finishing working out and starting work. And then I normally at 4, when I finish work, try and either spin or do my embroidery, and for some reason this week that didn't happen any of the nights. Now part of that's because we've had such a lovely week. I've gone and sat out in the garden after work, but I can embroider in the garden, so not quite sure what happened there. I mean, Tuesday night I went out in the garden and slept until I had to go to guides, so that happened. So I just need to rejig stuff and kind of work out what I'm doing when. I am hoping that in October I'm going to have a go at doing Vlogmas, and I am going to hopefully show how the knitting project fits into my days. That's my thoughts. So if you're watching the vlogs, you might end up seeing all my projects again on the actual podcast. So I don't quite know how this is all going to work, but we'll have a go. We will see. As I said, I mostly want to use it as a practice for Vlogmas, so that I A, get back into the habit of vlogging, B, my family gets back into the habit of having me throwing a camera at them every 5 minutes, and C, I just test my equipment, make sure everything is working. I have storage issues at the moment with all the podcasts. I would like to keep them all as a backup, just in case, God forbid, anything ever happens to my YouTube channel. But until I get my website up and running so I can put them on the website, I kind of need them backed up, but they take up a lot of space, blah blah blah. Anyway, you don't need to know all of this, so I'm trying to work out storage solutions for everything at the moment. So yeah, so Vlogtober I think will be happening for me. Anybody else that's got a podcast that would like to join me, please do. Don't make it just me. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I don't know that my family are particularly, but I've had some mixed reactions a couple of times I've mentioned it. But never mind. Yeah. Have I got anything else to tell you? I had an amazing weekend taking part in the Perth Festival of Yarn Zoom rooms, and I am definitely going to be involved with that again next year, because that was so much fun. I think that's definitely one that I'm going to put on my radar for next year. Let's hope next year that we can go and meet in person. That would be good. So otherwise, in other news, everybody's fine. We had a lovely day out last week at Pegwell, I think it's called, Country Park, Country Reserve in the very east of Kent. That was fun. We got to sit outside and eat because we're having a heat wave. Did I mention that? I'm sorry, I know you guys are kind of hating it, but these are the temperatures I adore, and I do like sitting outside. And although I don't like it too hot, I mean, I really don't like it too hot, I do like being able to sit out in the garden and craft outside. I love being outdoors. So as much as I know everybody's looking forward to autumn and cozying up with jumpers, etc., I miss the outdoors, so I'm not quite so much looking forward to it, if I'm honest. But I've got Christmas to look forward to, and then after Christmas I can start looking forward to spring. That's how it works in my head. Right, it's a normal work day for me, so I should probably get on. I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you're all okay wherever you are. Take care, and I will see you next week.